Okay, so in this video I'm going to go over the limits of trig, and so the two main rules that you're going to need to know, or the two main limits actually. So the first one is the limit as x approaches 0 of sine of x over x, and that's equal to 1. And then the second rule, which is a limit as x approaches 0 of 1 minus cosine x over x equals 0. And they won't ask it to you directly like this. They may manipulate, instead of sine x, it could be like sine of 3x. And so you would have to solve it that way. So they can ask you it in a couple different ways. So one example is limit x approaches 0 sine of 2x over 5x, and so it wants us to solve that. And so a more general rule for this sine of x over x is whatever is in this, whatever this angle is for sine, has to be the same value in the denominator. So if this is sine of 2 of x, in the denominator you also have to have 2x. If it's sine of 3x, in the denominator you have to have 3x. So we're going to have to manipulate this so that we get that to apply the rule. And so what you're going to want to do is, we see that we have a 2 as our angle. So we're going to multiply both the numerator and denominator by 2 over 2. So we're not really changing anything. But what this allows us to do is now I have sine 2x, and I have 2 in my denominator, and I have this x. And then on the outside, I'm just going to leave this 2 that's on the numerator and move this 5 over here, just so it makes sense how I'm going to apply the rule. So now we see that we have limit as x approaches 0 of sine of 2x over 2x. And remember, based off of our rule, that's just going to equal 1. And we're going to have 2 over 5. And so our final answer is just going to be 2 over 5. So it's pretty simple. You're going to want to multiply by both the numerator and denominator the value that's inside this sign, so that you can apply the rule. And another example you could have is if I had limit x approaches 0 of 7 minus 7 cosine of x over x. And this is a pretty easy example, but the idea is just so that we make it look similar to how we had our rules up here, the 1 minus cosine x over x. And so this one's pretty easy. All we're going to have to do is factor out this 7, and then inside we'll have a 1 minus cosine x over x. Okay, and as a property of a limit, I can move this 7 to the front. So I have 7 limit x approaches 0 of 1 minus cosine x over x. And we know this goes to 0, so 7 multiplied by 0 would just get us 0. And those are the two basic limits you want to have memorized so that you can apply them in a variety of different problems.